I, 32, F, have been married to my husband Liam, 34, M, for 7 years. Our marriage was not perfect. No marriage ever is. But I thought it was strong. I thought we had a foundation built on trust and respect. I learned at Christmas that our foundation was made of sand. It was a complete illusion, and the tide was coming in fast. The entire family was gathered at our house. My parents were there. His parents were there. My younger sister Olivia was there, sparkling in a dress that was a little too bright for the occasion. Liam had always been a fan of grand gestures. He loved being the center of attention, the generous host, the man with the perfect life. That evening, he stood up, glass in hand, to make the annual Christmas toast. The fire was crackling in the hearth. The lights on the tree twinkled. Everyone turned to him with fond, expectant smiles. He had a way with words. He could make a simple trip to the grocery store sound like an epic adventure. I smiled at him, ready to receive the loving words I assumed were for me. He was my husband. We had built this life together. My inheritance had bought this very house. My salary paid for the expensive wine in his glass. Surely the toast was for me. "I want to make a toast," Liam began, his voice smooth and confident, "to the woman who gave me everything. The one who showed me what true happiness is. The one who completes my world." His eyes swept the room, but they did not land on me. They slid right past me, past my mother, past his own father, and settled directly on my sister Olivia. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face. It was a private smile, meant for an audience of one. In that moment, the crowded room felt empty, except for the three of us locked in a terrible triangle. My heart stopped. It just completely stopped beating for a second. Olivia blushed. It was not a small, shy blush. It was a deep, crimson tide that flooded her face and neck. She looked down at her lap, a coy little smile playing on her lips. She looked like a girl who had just been handed the world's most beautiful secret. The silence in the room stretched for an eternity. My mother finally broke it with a nervous little cough. Liam's father cleared his throat. Pity, the curiosity. I avoided looking at Liam. I avoided looking at Olivia. If I looked at them, I was afraid I would shatter into a million pieces. Later that night, after everyone had left, the house was quiet again. The beautiful decorations now seemed like a mockery. Liam came up behind me in the kitchen as I was loading the dishwasher. He wrapped his arms around my waist. His touch felt wrong. It felt like a violation. "That was a lovely evening," he said, his voice soft. I did not turn around. "Was it?" I asked. My own voice sounded hollow and distant. "You're quiet," he said. "Is everything okay?" I finally turned to face him. "Who were you toasting tonight, Liam?" He had the audacity to look confused. "What are you talking about?" "I was toasting you, of course." "No, you were not," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "You looked at her. You looked at Olivia." He let out a short, frustrated sigh. "Chloe, do not start this. You are being ridiculous. I was looking around the room. It was a general sentiment." "She blushed, Liam," I said. "Why did she blush if it was for me?" "How should I know why your sister does anything?" he shot back, his voice turning sharp. "She is overly emotional. You know that. You are reading things into a simple, heartfelt toast. You are trying to ruin a perfect Christmas." He was gaslighting me. He was making me the problem. He was twisting reality until I was the crazy one. I felt a surge of anger so hot it almost choked me. "I am not ruining anything," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "You are." He stared at me for a long moment, his eyes cold. "I am going to bed," he said finally. "I am not going to stand here and be interrogated because you are feeling insecure." He turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the silent kitchen. I stood there for a long time, my hands gripping the edge of the counter. Insecure. He thought I was insecure. No, this was not insecurity. This was certainty. I knew what I had seen. I knew what I had felt. And I knew with a terrifying clarity that my marriage was a lie. Liam's toast was so sweet, she gushed. He just adores you. The lie was so blatant, so shameless, it took my breath away. She was testing me. She was seeing how much I would swallow. He is a very good speaker, I said carefully. He really is, she agreed, a little too eagerly. Anyway, I was just calling to see if you wanted to go shopping. The sales are amazing. I cannot, I said. I have a lot to do around the house. Oh, okay, she said, her voice dripping with fake disappointment. Some other time, then. After I hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed, the phone still in my hand. They were working together. They were a team. They thought I was a fool. They thought I was weak. They had underestimated me. That was their first mistake. It would not be their last. I decided right then that I was not going to cry. I was not going to scream. I was going to get proof. I was going to find out the truth, and I was going to use it to burn their little world to the ground. My first real clue came from our joint credit card statement. I checked it online every few days, a habit born from being the one who managed our finances. Liam was terrible with money. He spent it as fast as he earned it, and often faster. I was the one who made sure the bills were paid, the savings account grew, and our future was secure. A few weeks before Christmas, a charge had appeared that made me pause. It was for $5,000 from a high-end jewelry store in the city. When I had asked Liam about it, he had been dismissive. "It is a business expense," he'd said, not looking up from his laptop. "A client gift. You know, you have to spend money to make money." It seemed excessive, even for Liam. But his business was in sales, and schmoozing clients was part of his job. I had let it go, filing it away as another one of his extravagant but necessary expenses. Now, in the cold light of my suspicion, that charge felt different. It felt significant. I thought back to Christmas evening. Olivia had been wearing a new necklace. It was a delicate gold chain with a single stunning diamond. It was simple, elegant, and very expensive. I had noticed beautiful. Do you know where she got it? There was a slight pause on the other end of the line. "Oh, that old thing?" my mother said, a little too quickly. "I think a friend gave it to her. She has so many admirers, you know." Another lie. A clumsy one. My mother was a terrible liar. She was protecting Olivia. She had always protected Olivia. Olivia was the fragile, artistic one. I was the strong, responsible one. In my mother's eyes, Olivia needed protection, and I needed to be understanding. "It looked new," I said, pushing a little. "Well, you know your sister," my mother said, her voice becoming strained. "She takes such good care of her things. Chloe, I have to go. Your father is calling me." She hung up before I could say another word. The conversation confirmed two things for me. First, my mother knew something. She was part of the cover-up. Second, the necklace was important. It was the key. Now I had a new mission. I had to find proof that the $5,000 charge was for that specific necklace. I waited until Liam was out of the house for a client meeting. His laptop was on the desk in our home office. He rarely shut it down completely. I felt a tremor of fear and guilt as I sat in his chair. This was a line I had never crossed before. I was invading his privacy. But he had already invaded our marriage, our life, our future. My guilt evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I opened the browser. His email was already logged in. I typed the name of the jewelry store into the search bar. My heart hammered against my ribs. A receipt. A confirmation email. That is what I needed. The search results came up. There it was. An email from the jeweler dated 3 weeks ago. The subject line was, "Your recent purchase." My hand was shaking as I clicked on it. The email opened. It was a digital receipt. It showed the date of purchase. It showed the last 4 digits of our joint credit card, and it showed the item description. The Solitaire Star Diamond Pendant, 18-karat gold chain. There was a small picture of the necklace next to the description. It was the one. It was the exact necklace Olivia had been wearing. I stared at the screen, the blood roaring in my ears. He had lied. He had spent the cheek and handed me a bouquet of flowers. "For my beautiful wife," he said with a charming smile. The flowers smelled like a funeral. I wanted to throw them in his face. I wanted to show him the picture on my phone and watch his perfect world crumble. But I did not. It was not time. This was just one piece of the puzzle. I needed more. I needed to understand the full scope of their betrayal before I made my move, so I smiled back at him. "Thank you, Liam," I said, my voice sweet as poison. "They are lovely." I put the flowers in a vase and placed them on the dining table. They were a beautiful lie, sitting in the center of our broken home. I needed to talk to someone. The secret was a heavy weight in my chest, and I felt like I was suffocating. I could not talk to my mother. She had already chosen a side. I had no other family I could trust. So I called my best friend, Sarah. Sarah and I had been friends since college. She was blunt, loyal, and had a very low tolerance for nonsense. We met at a small coffee shop downtown. I told her everything. I started with the toast, the look, the blush. I told her about the necklace, the credit card charge, and the email I had found on Liam's laptop. I showed her the picture on my phone. Sarah listened patiently, her expression growing darker with every word. When I finished, she stared into her coffee cup for a long moment. "The man is a snake," she said finally, looking up at me. "And your sister is worse. I never liked her. I do not know what to do," I whispered. "I feel like my whole life is falling apart." "No," Sarah said, reaching across the table and taking my hand. "Your life is not falling apart. You are just seeing it clearly for the first time. This is not a crack, Chloe. This is a sinkhole. You need to get out." "I cannot just leave," I said. "The house, our finances, everything is tangled together, and I need more proof. I need to know everything before I confront them." "What more proof do you need?" she asked, her voice incredulous. "He bought your sister a $5,000 necklace with your money and lied about it. That is a parade's worth of red flags right there." "I know," I said, "but it feels bigger." "Fight back." "Okay," I said, my voice stronger now. "Okay, I will be a spy." "Good," she said with a nod. "First things first. You need a lawyer, not to file for divorce yet, but for advice. You need to know how to protect yourself and your assets, especially that inheritance money." My stomach clenched. My grandparents had left me a significant amount of money. It was what had allowed us to buy our beautiful house and live so comfortably. Liam's income was inconsistent. Mine was steady, but it was my inheritance that formed the bedrock of our financial security. "He would not touch that," I said, but even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. A man who would buy a diamond for his wife's sister was capable of anything. "You do not know that," Sarah said gently. "You thought he would not cheat on you with your own sister. People are capable of terrible things, Chloe, especially when it comes to money." She was right. I made an appointment with a divorce lawyer for the following week. The lawyer was a woman Sarah recommended, known for being tough and thorough. Her name was Miss Davis. That night, I decided to do more digging. Liam was out again at another client dinner. I was starting to suspect his client's name was Olivia. I went back to his laptop. This time, I looked at our bank accounts. We had a joint checking account, a joint savings account, and my personal inheritance account, which was supposed to be in my name only. I logged into the joint savings account first. I stared at the screen in disbelief. The balance was much lower than it should have been. Over the past 6 months, there had been a series of large withdrawals. $10,000 here, $15,000 there. Each one was labeled business investment. My blood ran cold. Liam had a business credit card for his expenses. He never used the savings account for work. He had been slowly, systematically draining our savings. I clicked on the details of the transfers. The money was being moved to another account. an account I did not recognize. With a growing sense of dread, I logged into my inheritance account. I had always kept a close eye on it, but I had not checked the detailed transaction history in months. I trusted him. I had given him access to it for emergency purposes a few years ago when we were just an affair. This was a long-term, calculated plan. They were not just betraying me emotionally, they were trying to ruin me financially. My gut feeling had been right. This was so much bigger and so much uglier than I had ever imagined. I took screenshots of everything: the savings account withdrawals, the transfer from my inheritance account, the unknown account number. I saved them all to a secure cloud drive that Liam knew nothing about. I was building my arsenal. Each piece of evidence was a bullet, and I was going to make sure that when I finally fired, I did not miss. The next day, I decided to test a theory. I needed to see Liam and Olivia interact when they did not know I was watching. My mother had invited us all over for a family dinner on Sunday. It was the perfect opportunity. I told Liam I had a terrible headache and was going to lie down for a bit before we had to leave. "You go on ahead," I said, trying to sound weak and tired. "I will drive myself over in a little while. I just need an hour of quiet." He was all concern. "Of course, honey. You rest. I will tell your mom you're not feeling well." He kissed my forehead and left. As soon as his car pulled out of the driveway, I got up. I did not have a headache. I had a plan. I waited 20 minutes, then I got in my own car and drove to my parents' house. I parked down the street out of sight. I walked up to the house and let myself in the back door with the key I had had since I was a teenager. The family was in the living room. I could hear their voices. I crept quietly down the hallway until I could see them through a crack in the doorway. My mother and father were on the sofa. Liam and Olivia were standing by the fireplace, a little apart from the others. They thought I was at home, sick in bed. They thought they were safe. Liam reached out and touched her arm. It was a small gesture, but it was possessive, intimate. He leaned in and whispered something in her ear. Olivia laughed, a high, tinkling sound. She put her hand on his chest and looked up at him with an expression of pure adoration. My mother watched them. She saw the touch, she saw the look, and she did nothing. She just turned to my father and said something about the weather. She was a willing accomplice. She was choosing to be blind. I felt a cold house. An hour later, I was the picture of composure. "I am feeling much better," I announced with a bright smile. Liam rushed to my side. "I am so glad, honey. We were worried about you." Olivia gave me a sympathetic smile. "Poor Chloe. You work too hard." The hypocrisy was suffocating. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them I had seen them. I had seen everything. But I held my tongue. I played my part. I was the loving wife, the dutiful daughter, the caring sister. It was the hardest role I had ever had to play. During dinner, I deliberately brought up the topic of finances. "Liam and I were just talking about our 5-year plan," I said casually, addressing the table. "We are thinking of doing some major renovations on the house next year." I saw a flicker of panic in Liam's eyes before he masked it. Olivia froze, a forkful of mashed potatoes halfway to her mouth. "Oh, that sounds wonderful, dear," my mother said. "Your house is already so beautiful." "Well, we think a new kitchen would really add to the value," I continued, watching Liam closely. "It will be a big investment, of course. We will probably have to pull a good amount from our savings, and maybe even dip into the inheritance fund a little." Liam cleared his throat. "We are just in the early planning stages, Chloe," he said, his voice tight. "We have not decided on anything for sure." "Oh, I think we have," I said, looking directly at him. "I think it is time we started investing in our future. Our shared future." The message was clear. I knew about the money, or at least I was about to find out about it. His face was pale. Olivia looked down at her plate, refusing to meet my eyes. I had them rattled. It was a small victory, but it felt good. It felt powerful. For the first time since Christmas, I did not feel like a victim. I felt like a player in the game. and I was starting to realize I was a much better player than they were. My appointment with Ms. Davis, the lawyer, was enlightening and terrifying. I laid out the whole story for her. The toast, the necklace, the bank statements, my secret observations at my parents' house. I showed her the photos. The necklace and the bank transfers are very strong pieces of proof. The inheritance money is particularly damning. What do I do now? I asked. First, we need to protect what is left of your assets, she said. I want you to go to your bank tomorrow. Open a new account in your name only. Transfer every remaining penny from your inheritance account into it. Then, I want you to call the bank that holds your joint savings and checking accounts. We are going to put a freeze on them. Liam will not be able to withdraw another dollar without your signature. He will know something is wrong, I said. Let him, Ms. Davis replied with a thin smile. Let him wonder. Let him panic. Right now, our priority is containment. We stop the bleeding. Then, we prepare our strategy. She explained the legal process of divorce in our state. She talked about division of assets, alimony, and how his infidelity and financial misconduct would play a major role in the proceedings. The house is in your name, correct? She asked. Yes, I said. I bought it with my inheritance money before we were married. His name is not on the deed. Excellent, she said. That simplifies things considerably. He has no legal claim to the house itself, though he may try to argue for a share of its increased value. But given his actions, that will be a very difficult argument for him to win. I left her office feeling a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. The path ahead was going to be difficult and painful, but for the first time, I had a clear plan. I had a powerful ally on my side. I was no longer just reacting to their betrayal. I was taking control of the narrative. The next morning, I followed Miss Davis's instructions to the letter. I went to a different branch of my bank, one Liam never used. I opened a new account and transferred the remaining funds from my inheritance. It was less than it should have been, but it was still a substantial amount. It was safe now. It was mine. Then came the harder part. I called the customer service line for our joint accounts. My heart was pounding as I explained that I wanted to freeze the accounts due to suspicious activity. The representative was very helpful. Within 10 minutes, it was done. No one could touch that money without both of our consent. I knew the fallout would be swift. Liam relied on that checking account for his daily. On the other end of the line. You what? Why would you do that? I need that money. I am sure you do, I said coolly. But I noticed some very large unauthorized withdrawals from our savings and from my inheritance account. I thought it was best to secure our funds until we can figure out where all that money has gone. He started to bluster. What are you talking about? Those were business investments. I told you that. How dare you go behind my back and freeze our accounts? That is our money. Is it, Liam? I asked quietly. Is it our money? Or is it your money to spend on expensive gifts for other women? Is it your money to squirrel away into a secret bank account? The line went dead quiet. I could hear him breathing. He was caught. He knew I knew. The game had changed. I do not know what you are talking about, he finally stammered, but his voice lacked conviction. I think you do, I said. We will talk about it when you get home. We have a lot to discuss. I hung up the phone. My hand was shaking, but I felt a grim sense of satisfaction. The first shot had been fired, and it had hit its mark. The confrontation that evening was uglier than I could have imagined. Liam stormed into the house, his face a mask of fury. You have a lot of nerve, he snarled, throwing his keys onto the counter. What the hell do you think you are doing? I am protecting myself, I said calmly, not moving from my seat at the kitchen table. Something you should have thought about before you started stealing from me. I did not steal from you, he shouted. It was an investment. I was going to pay it all back. Pay it back from where, Liam? I asked. From the profits of the business you were planning to start with my sister. The one you were funding with my inheritance? His face went white. He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. He had no idea how much I knew. "You have been going through my things," he whispered, his voice full of venom. "My laptop." "I have been going through our things," I corrected him. "Our bank accounts." "Our..." Shot back. "You are a liar and a thief. And you are a terrible one at that." He took a step towards me, his hands clenched into fists. For a moment I thought he might hit me. I stood my ground, my heart pounding. "We are done," I said, my voice as cold as ice. "This marriage is over. I have already spoken to a lawyer." The fight went out of him. He slumped against the counter, his face ashen. "A lawyer? Chloe, no. We can fix this. It was a mistake, a stupid mistake." "It was not a mistake," I said. "It was a plan. You and my sister have been planning this for months. You are going to take my money, leave me, and start a new life together. Do not insult my intelligence by calling it a mistake." He just stared at me, defeated. The truth was out, and he had no defense against it. The lies had crumbled, and all that was left was the ugly reality of his betrayal. "Get out," I said quietly. "Get your things and get out of my house." "This is my house too," he said weakly. "No, it is not," I replied. "My name is on the deed. My money paid for it. You are a guest here, and your stay is over." He left that night. He packed a single bag and went to a hotel. Or maybe he went to her. I did not know, and I did not care. The house felt empty, but it also felt clean. It was the first time I had been able to breathe freely in weeks. The battle was far from over, but I had won the first major engagement. The next few days were a flurry of activity. I changed the locks on the doors. I met with Miss Davis again to update her. She was pleased with the progress. She began drafting the official divorce papers. My phone was inundated with calls and texts. Liam sent me a string of messages, alternating between begging for forgiveness and accusing me of being a vindictive monster. I did not reply to any of them. Then came the call I was dreading. My mother. "Chloe, what is going on?" she demanded, her voice shrill with panic. "Liam just called me. He said you threw him out. He said you froze the bank accounts. What have you done?" I have uncovered the deeply wounding, that it stole my breath. My own mother, siding with them, blaming me. It was a betrayal almost as deep as Liam's. "I am not jealous of her," I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and hurt. "I am heartbroken by her. And by you. You have enabled this. You have watched it happen, and you have said nothing." "I have done no such thing," she cried. "You need to stop this, Chloe. You need to call Liam and apologize. You need to fix your marriage." "My marriage is over," I said firmly. "And I think my relationship with you might be over too. You have made your choice. You chose them. Now you can live with it." I hung up the phone, my hands trembling. I had lost my husband, my sister, and now my mother. My entire family had been a lie. Sarah was right. It was a sinkhole, and I was the only one trying to climb out. The situation escalated when Liam's brother, Mark, called me. Mark was the opposite of Liam. He was quiet, steady, and kind. We had always gotten along well. "Chloe, it is Mark," he said, his voice hesitant. I heard what happened. Liam called our parents. He is a mess." "I am sure he is," I said dryly. "He is telling everyone that you have lost your mind," Mark continued, "that you are making wild accusations and that you have locked him out of his own home and stolen all his money." "None of that is true," I said, "except for the part where I locked him out of my house." Mark was silent for a moment. "I believe you," he said finally. "I have always known. Liam has a selfish streak, and I have seen the way he looks at Olivia. I just never thought he would actually. His voice trailed off. It was a small thing, but his validation meant the world to me. I was not crazy. Other people saw it too. Thank you, Mark, I said, my voice thick with emotion. That means a lot to me. Is there anything I can do? He asked. Our parents are taking his side, of course. He has always been able to manipulate them. Just be there for me, I said. It feels like I am completely alone in this. You are not alone, he promised. If you need anything, anything at all, retrieve his personal belongings from the house by appointment only, with a neutral third party present. This will show them we mean business, she said, stamping the letter with a flourish. They are used to you being accommodating. They are about to learn that you have found your backbone. And she was right. I had. The old Chloe, the one who always tried to keep the peace, the one who swallowed her own feelings to make others comfortable, was gone. In her place was a woman who was fighting for her life, a woman who was not going to back down. A week later, I received a text message from an unknown number. It was a single sentence. You think you are so smart. You do not know the whole story. I knew it was from Olivia. It was a taunt, a threat. She was trying to get under my skin. I did not reply. I just saved the message and sent a screenshot to Miss Davis. Every piece of communication was another piece of evidence. I was beginning to realize that their plan was more than just financial. It was about humiliation. They wanted to destroy my reputation along with my bank account. Liam's stories to his family, Olivia's taunting message. They were trying to paint me as the villain, the unstable wife who drove her poor, loving husband away. This new understanding solidified my resolve. I was not just going to divorce Liam. I was not just going to get my money back. I was going to expose them. I was going to make sure that everyone knew the truth. Their public image, the one they cared so much about, was going to be another casualty of the war they had started. The key to everything, I realized, was the secret bank account, the one Liam had been funneling our money into. If I could get access to that, I could see exactly what they had been planning. Ms. Davis had already started the legal process to subpoena the bank records, but that could take time. I wanted answers now. I started thinking like a spy again. How could I get the account information? Liam was not stupid. He would not have left a paper trail in the house. It had to be digital. I went back to his laptop. I had already searched his email, but maybe I had missed something. I spent hours combing through his files, his browser history, his saved documents. Nothing. It was like the account did not exist. Then I had an idea. The cloud. We had a dog's name. Nothing worked. I sat back, frustrated. What would he use? It would have to be something memorable to him, but not obvious to me. I thought about the toast, the woman who gave him everything. I thought about Olivia. What was her significance to him? Her birthday. I did not even know her exact birthday, just the month. I called my mother. I pretended I wanted to send Olivia a birthday gift. "Oh, that is so thoughtful of you, Chloe," she said, her voice still cool towards me. Her birthday is May 12th. I typed it in. 0512. Access denied. I tried 0512 and the year. Nothing. I was about to give up when I remembered something. When Olivia was a child, she had a favorite number. 7. She thought it was her lucky number. She used to write it on everything. I typed in 051207. The folder opened. My breath caught in my throat. It was not full of business plans. It was full of them. Photos of Liam and Olivia together. Dozens of them. On trips I did not know they had taken. In restaurants I had never been to. Kissing. Holding each other. They looked happy. They looked like a real couple. Beneath the photos there were documents. Scans of bank statements for their secret account. A rental application for an apartment in a new luxury building downtown with both of their names on it. And a document that made my blood run cold. It was a timeline. It was a step-by-step plan, written out in a shared document. It started 3 months ago. Step 1. Begin transferring funds from joint accounts. Step 2. Secure new apartment. Step 3. Liam to file for divorce, claiming emotional distress and irreconcilable differences. Step 4. Paint Chloe as unstable and controlling to friends and family. Step 5. Announce their relationship publicly after the divorce is finalized. They had planned every detail: the financial ruin, the character assassination, the public reveal. They were going to strip me of my money, my marriage, and my dignity, all according to a neat little checklist. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. This was a level of cruelty and calculation I could not have imagined. They had not just fallen in love, they had conspired to destroy me. I took a deep, steadying breath. The shock was quickly replaced by a cold, clear rain. There. All their friends. It was meant to be a celebration of love and commitment. It was the perfect stage. It was the stage they had planned to use for their own reveal, I realized. The timeline mentioned a major family event as the ideal time to start dropping hints about my instability. They were going to use my parents' party as the backdrop for my public humiliation. The irony was exquisite. I was going to use it for theirs instead. I spent the next 2 weeks preparing. I met with Miss Davis and showed her the contents of the Project X folder. Her eyes widened as she read the timeline. "This is a gift," she said, her voice grim. "In all my years of practice, I have never seen antagonists so foolish as to write down their entire malicious plan. This changes everything. This is no longer just a divorce. This is a lawsuit for damages." We devised a strategy. I was not going to show my hand until the last possible moment. I needed them to feel safe. I needed them to walk into the trap with their heads held high. I agreed to unfreeze the joint checking account, but only with a strict weekly limit. Just enough for Liam's gas and daily expenses. It was a calculated move. It made me look reasonable, like I was willing to cooperate. It also kept him on a tight leash. He complained, but he had no choice but to accept. Olivia sent me another text. "Heard you are coming to the party. Cannot wait to see you." The arrogance was astonishing. They really thought they were winning. The day of the party arrived. I chose my dress carefully. It was a simple, elegant black dress. I looked strong. I looked composed. I looked like a woman who was not to be trifled with. I had a small, discreet folder in my purse. Inside were a few carefully selected printouts, a copy of the receipt for the diamond necklace, a bank statement from their secret account showing a deposit from my inheritance fund, and a single page from their timeline, the one that detailed their plan to paint me as unstable. I arrived at the party alone. Heads turned as I walked in. I could feel the whispers rippling through the room. I held my head high and smiled. I greeted my aunts and uncles. I complimented my mother on her dress. I was playing the part of the wronged but dignified wife. Liam and Olivia, they were in control. The evening wore on. There were speeches. My father gave a beautiful, heartfelt toast to my mother. They danced. It was all a perfect picture of a happy family. A perfect, fragile lie. Then, my father tapped the microphone. "And now, I believe our son-in-law Liam would like to say a few words." My heart started to pound. This was it. The moment was here. Liam walked up to the small stage, a confident smile on his face. He was about to launch the next phase of his plan. He was going to lay the groundwork for my supposed instability. "Thank you, Bill," he said, beaming at my father. "I just want to say what an inspiration you and Carol are. 40 years of marriage is an incredible achievement. It is a reminder to all of us what is truly important in life: honesty, commitment, and finding that one person who truly understands you." He paused, and his eyes found Olivia in the crowd. He gave her that same secret smile he had given her on Christmas. "Sometimes," he continued, his voice full of fake emotion, "life throws you challenges. People grow apart. Marriages can be difficult, especially when one person is not, well, it can be a heavy burden to carry." He was doing it. He was actually doing it. He was painting me as a mentally unstable burden in front of our entire family. The audacity was breathtaking. He finished his speech to polite applause. He walked off the stage, looking smug. He had planted the seed. He thought he had won. But then, I stood up. I walked to the stage and picked up the microphone. A hush fell over the room. Everyone was staring at me. Liam and Olivia looked horrified. This was not part of their plan. "I would like to propose a toast as well," I said, my voice clear and steady. It echoed through the silent room. I looked out at the sea of faces. My mother, looking anxious. My father, looking confused. Liam and Olivia, looking like cornered animals. "My father-in-law is right," I began. 40 years is an inspiration. And Liam is right too. Honesty and commitment are what is most important in a marriage, which is why I find it so interesting that he would choose to speak about going to faint. "And then there is the burden of financial secrets," I went on, my voice growing stronger. "Like a secret bank account, the one my husband and my sister opened together. The one they have been funneling money into for the past 6 months. Money from our savings. And $100,000 from my personal inheritance." I held up the second piece of paper, the bank statement. "This is a statement from that account," I said. "You can see the deposits clearly. You can see both of their names right at the top." The room was in an uproar. People were whispering, staring, pointing. Liam started to move towards the stage, his face contorted with rage. "Chloe, stop this. You are making a fool of yourself." "Am I?" I asked, looking directly at him. "Or am I finally telling the truth? You see, everyone, Liam and Olivia have a plan, a very detailed plan. They were even kind enough to write it all down for me." I held up the final piece of paper, the timeline. "I will not bore you with all the details," I said, "but my favorite part is step 4. Paint Chloe as unstable and controlling to friends and family." It seems Liam was just getting started on that step with his little speech. A truly masterful performance. I looked from Liam's furious face to Olivia's tear-streaked one. Then I looked at my mother, who was staring at me with a look of pure horror. "So, I would like to make a toast," I said, raising my water glass. "To honesty, to commitment, and to consequences. Liam, Olivia, I wish you a very happy life together. You are going to need it, because you have nothing else. The accounts are frozen. The lawyer has been paid. And this house," I said, gesturing to the opulent country club, "is something you will never be able to afford with what is left. Congratulations on your new life. You have earned it." I set the microphone down and walked off the stage. The silence was deafening. Then chaos erupted. People were shouting. My father was demanding answers. Liam's parents were staring at him with looks of utter disgust. I did not stay to watch the fallout. I walked out of the party, my head held high. I got in my car and drove away. I did not look back. The aftermath was exactly as I had predicted. My phone blew up with calls and texts. Pariahs. They had been exposed in the most public and humiliating way possible. Friends and family turned their backs on them. They were left with nothing but each other and the small amount of money in their secret account, most of which would now go to their lawyers. The divorce was swift and brutal for them. Ms. Davis used the evidence from the Project X folder to devastating effect. The judge awarded me the house, the vast majority of our remaining assets, and a significant judgment against Liam for the money he had stolen. He was ordered to pay me back every single cent. They ended up moving into that small, luxury apartment they had applied for, but without my money to fund their lifestyle, they could not afford it for long. The last I heard, they were living in a cramped rental on the other side of town, drowning in debt and resentment. I sold the house. It had too many bad memories. I bought a smaller place for myself, a bright, sunny condo overlooking a park. I reconnected with my father, who was trying his best to make amends. My relationship with my mother and sister was over for good. Some things cannot be fixed. One evening, about a year later, I was having dinner with Sarah. We were laughing about something when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I opened it. It was from Liam. "I hope you are happy," it said. "You ruined our lives." I showed the text to Sarah. She snorted. "He still does not get it, does he?" "No. I said, a small smile on my face. He never will. I deleted the message without replying. He was right about one thing. I was happy. I was free. I had been through a fire that should have destroyed me, but I had walked out the other side, stronger and smarter than before. He had made a toast to the woman who gave him everything. In the end, I was the one who took it all away, and I did not regret it for a single second. My new life was quiet and peaceful. The drama was gone. The lies were gone. All that was left was the truth, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that I had won. I had not just survived, I had triumphed. And that was the best revenge of all. The silence in my new home was a comfort, not a threat.